All right, men's G race over to you, Jimmy Coleman.
So next up in this field with hip number 1 will be Matthew Mahoney of Glen Huntly. Hip 2, Wilson Fletcher of Mornington Peninsula. Hip 3, Daniel Velado, unattached. Hip 4, Brody Andrew of Essendon. Hip 5, Joshua Grobela of Williamstown. Hip 6, James Ty of South Melbourne. Hip 7, Jake Sarup, unattached, perhaps a sibling of Noah, who we saw earlier in that race have an absolute blinder. Can he follow his sister? I'm guessing. Daughter? Cousin? Aunt. Anyway, Tyler Hadfield, hip 8, unattached. Hip 9, Shane Holt of Box Hill. Hip 10, Robert Jones of Deakin. Hip 11, Cameron Lee, unattached. Hip 12, Samuel Pearce of Ballarat YCW. Hip 13, Jai Farrar. Lost my start list. Of Mornington Peninsula was Jai Farrar in hip 13. Hip 14, Zachary Norton of Doncaster. Hip 15, Michael Bishop of Mornington Peninsula. And hip 16, Antonio Russo of Glen Huntly.
Big field of 16 here as well. So great to see the turnout still rolling deep into the later parts of the night. As we're in the starter's hand now, the gun is up. And we are racing now. And from the inside, they're going to try and take it out early. And it looks like one of our smallest athletes in the field is going to be the one to make up the running. And again, trying to get a read from the other side of the track has not been my strong point tonight. So once they roll around, maybe past the 200, we might be able to get a better read on them, Jimmy. But if you want to take a crack, I'd love to hear it, but I think that might be Brody Andrews out in front of Essendon.
You know what? Nah. he's throwing me under the bus, but no, you were correct, Mitch. It is. So it's Brody Andrews leading us through, and then Jai Farrar in Mornington Peninsula in second. So those bright singlets certainly help us identify the athletes in the dark. No, that's not Matthew Mahoney up the front. It's Antonio Russo, who's sitting just in third. So we'll get ready for their split coming up. But taking a look at these seed times, 4:38 down to 4:47. So only a 9-second spread between these athletes. We'll probably be looking at about a 74-second through the 400. So perhaps just a little bit slow at this point, which may be not such a bad thing. There's certainly plenty of time for the athletes to pick up the pace over the final stages of the race.
Antonio Russo, a strong name for a strong position in this race. He's going to sit on the outside of them there in about third place, now into second as we start to see him jump behind Jai Farrar there of Mornington Peninsula. So there's been a huge showing of the men and women of Orange tonight, but that is Antonio Russo on the outside, and I could say that name all night. So hopefully he stays towards the front. So Russo on the outside of Farrar there on the inside, and I believe coming around there now is James Ty of South Melbourne. So they're nicely bunched here. A lot of them are happy to sort of sit in the middle of that pack and see how it pans out, but Russo now on the outside, Farrar still on the inside, and on the very inside of them was Brody Andrews, our early race leader. So these guys are going to be able to work themselves out quite nicely. No one's really fallen off the pace. Everybody working well together as we start to see a few shift into lane 2, borderline lane 3. But Farrar and Russo at the front here coming up to 800 metres. And they're going to come through in about 2:30 there, Jim. So they're starting to move a little bit, but we'll see how this pack, if anyone can come from it and have a crack at the front.
Yeah, so they've picked up just a little bit, but probably still need to get a move on just a little bit more. One of the things I love about Victorian Milers Club, because we're all entering with seed times, we certainly see a mix of the generations in the field. We see some of the youth of the athletics versus the experience of some of the veterans that have been doing this for a long time and know exactly how 3 3/4 laps works. And Russo starting to wind up and maybe just gapping the field a little bit.
Yeah, power name, power performance from Russo as he gets his arms swinging now as he's going to come up to the bell. A sweet relief for a lot of athletes when they hear that bell, but now they might start to bridge the gap there. That's our athlete,
Cameron
Cameron
Lee.
Lee.
Yes.
So he's going to get on him there. 3:28 through the bell. Russo still front. Lee now right behind him there. And I believe that is our Ballarat YCW athlete and Samuel Pearce now just off the back of them. So Lee now goes around Russo. 300 metres to go. Lee's going to lead him into the back straight at about 3:44. But Russo says, I'm not done yet. I'm going to hang off you. The Ballarat YCW athlete there sitting in third. He's looking extremely comfortable, and he's going to ride off the back too. So Russo in second, Lee still leading, and we've got our South Melbourne athlete James Tye coming up. 200 metres to go. Jim.
Yeah, I tell you what, James Tye is looking very good, and he's timed his run to perfection. He's just on the back of Russo, but he can't quite get it done just at this moment. But he moves on the shoulder of the outside, but hold on a second from Williamstown. That could be Joshua Grobler, and I can remember him last mile as having a fantastic run as well. He's just put his way on the outside, but James Tye of South Melbourne, he's thrown the gauntlet down. He wants to take this win, but Grobler coming right after him. Can he just get there? Can Tye hold him off? Grobler of Williamstown just edges James Tye out. Fantastic running from both of them. Russo not too far behind. He was doing much of that early work. Lee as well, our unattached athlete who we saw with that big explosion on the bell lap. So still exciting races all around here to the late evening at Victorian Milers Club, but we're not done with yet.
Well, just another perfectly timed sit and kick, wasn't it? And Grobler, he was not going to die wondering. So a great race to pip him on the outside there. Lee, he was always around the mark, and you probably thought he had it with about 200 metres to go, but just goes to show the race is never over until you've hit the line. So a great race there by Grobler, and Lee should be very happy with that. Russo there through for fourth.